Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's race broadcast of St. Lear 13. It is the 13th round of XRL's Realistic League, and here in the broadcast booth today, I have your current points leader, XRL Matrix. Matrix, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. I'm going to make this really short, sweet, and to the point. You did not get to race last week. You had a 30-point lead going into the Imola event. You had no chance to add to it. The field left Imola. You still have 19 points in your favor. Relatively good scenario. Do you think you are in a position to lock up the title maybe early in the season, especially now that we're over the halfway point?
No. There's so many races to go. The Ferraris are fast. I could have raced last week, but I was told no. But I like Portugal. Portugal's funny. You can't see what's over the hills when you got hills, so it's funny. But no, it's sort of that really. It's so many races to go. 13 races in. It's a lot of points left. This is a bit of fun on the side to the main one.
Alright, well, I do want to still ask about the other half of the battle, though. You're in contention to possibly wrap up the XRL X2 title tomorrow. Do you think you can do that, maybe?
I've done a lot of... Right, Waldo's not racing, so... That... Is it? Yeah. So I'm quite positive with X2. Hopefully it goes well, but like Waldo not racing's obviously like it's good for me, but in terms of like, and part of my head's like yes, but in my part of my head's I'm like I don't really kind of want that because I want the fight to go right to the end, which it might still, but him not racing's a bit of a downer, to be honest.
All right, well, I want to say thank you very much for being willing to step in again as you continue your quest to be the first ever double title holder in Extreme Racing League's history.
Imagine doing it.
Alright, I'll go ahead and let you go, Matrix. Alright, as we now go ahead and turn our focus onto the racetrack itself and we begin qualifying, XRL already has run 100% length race at Portimao earlier this year. Not in a points pain scenario, though. It was early on during the exhibition races this season, and it actually ended up being a very good race. This man here, one of the drivers in the Aston Martin team, XRL Azda, actually had a very exciting, drawn-out, nearly 25-minute battle in the upper midfield throughout the majority of that race en route to a great finish. This has been a track that definitely has shown a lot of great potential when it comes to racing here. 18 drivers showing up right now. We were supposed to get 20, but there seems to be 2 guys who may be a little bit late. I do think we got the race itself started a bit earlier than normal. The qualifying started a little bit earlier than normal, though that may have a factor into it. But anyways, right now with 18 drivers on track, 15 of them will advance to the next round of qualifying, 3 of them will not. One other interesting change that may have an effect going into the next season of X1, X2, X3, and may have an effect in the Realistic Series going forward, is that in normal Formula 1 for the 2022 sporting regulations, a change has been made to where drivers are no longer required to start on the tires they ran in Q2. So if you qualify top 10 for Formula 1 now, you do not have to start on that set of tires. Now, it's not an official word yet on if you're still going to be required to use those tires, but that set of tires you will not have to start on. That can leave a lot more things open to interpretation going forward, because now you can go out there, pound through more sets of soft tires in Q2 if you so choose, and you don't have to worry about being knocked out. It also means we'll likely see less drivers starting the races on warm medium tires. They'll just be starting on fresh medium tires if they so choose to. But that's the main implications that we are looking at in that kind of scenario. Now, when that will come down and those rule changes will trickle down to the XRL series is up in the air. We have no idea when that may happen. As we watch XRL Azda as he's going through Sector 2 right now. Now comes to the exit of Sector 2, 54.454. Right now, as they're coming across the line, Frisbee will be the first driver with a lap time, 118.799 at the moment. Now we see Kinsey Retro go up to the top, 117.893. Kinsey had a great run at Yas Marina a few weeks ago, get cut short by a mid-race accident, but he has shown that on pace, in that Mercedes at least, he definitely has a top 5 car. Ozda crosses the line with a 20.530, though not the greatest for him, it seems. This is fine, Waldo. He's had a bit of a spin in Sector 2, but he's already back and underway now. He's on his outlap at the moment, and Waddington here going through Sector 2 himself in the Williams. Very hilly section. Almost the entirety of Sector 2 and the start of Sector 3 feels like it's built onto the side of a mountain, and Frisbee has had a spin there in Sector 2 as he'll pull off circuit to let the McLarens go by. Not looking great for him at the moment, but he does have the second fastest time right now. As you now see XRL Torpedo, one of the championship contenders, sneak by. Both Ferraris, Torpedo and James John, in the championship's fight still. We are just a little bit past the halfway point in the season, and the Ferraris look like they could be in a position to lock up. Oh, and Waldo's had an accident! Waldo has had an accident there at the runoff just beyond turn 1. He's way off circuit. We really can't even see. Try and get Waldo in here and see what happened, but a very, very strange scenario to say the least. Now you can see Zola has crossed the line. He's beginning a flying lap of his own now. McLaren's had a great bounce back weekend last week at Imola, coming home with top 6 finishes for both of them. And while it looks like the manufacturers and drivers' titles are out of their grasp, if they keep it together well enough, they could still bounce back and take home second in the manufacturer's title. That's not very safe, Ozda. He seems to have been run out of fuel, I guess, in the middle of the racetrack, just over a hill, and that's not a good check. And now, Kinsey Retro has had an accident. He's retired in pit lane. And Dave Ewart has had, no, Dave Ewart's crashed coming into pit lane. I'm sorry. Am I seeing this right? I think Dave Ewart crashed trying to come into pit lane. Both Mercedes now no longer making any more attempts. Kinsey has retired in the pit road by the looks of it. And that's Torpedo, who has pulled off there in Sector 3. Everything just has gone from chaos to more chaos, it would appear. Oh, there's an Alpine going around. That's Jigsaw, who looped it, coming through Sector 3 there, as he continues to struggle with grip and maintaining consistent grip in that Alpine machine. So Muozi by Dragon and Ozda, both who are anticipated to come into pit lane here. And it looks like Jigsaw will be coming in as well, all with the anticipation of putting on new rubber. Flavor has now begun his lap and almost immediately goes off circuit in corner 3 there, so not that great for him, sadly. As 10 over 18 drivers are now in pit road. We see Edgar crossing the line. He wants to try and get another lap in, and Beastian has crossed the line. He has the slowest time of everyone right now, though, with a 119.877. Dragon has retired in pit lane, so he feels his 18.7 is good enough to get him into the next round. And frankly, I agree. Right now, it's looking like if you're saying a lap time in the 18s, you'll be safe to make it into Q2 here. Low on fuel. He is his namesake when it comes to fuel in that car right now. And across the line, Lowe will set a time of 1:19.556. Not a great time, so in that Alpine camp, there's still a lot of struggles going on with maximizing the grip for those cars. Beastian is down this lap compared to his prior one, down by about 1.6 seconds at the end of Sector 2 alone. And just behind him is XRL Edgar. You can barely see him like a dot in the distance. Yeah, off by 1.8 seconds overall for Beastian, so not a great time to say the least, as we're now seeing Aston Martin's and that's Smoothie, one of your other title contenders. Despite missing the last several races, he is still a top 4 in the title fight, still a mathematical contender for the title, so he's coming back onto the circuit as well now. Flavor has set only a single lap and was a 1:22.8, but he's already up by 1.5 seconds. But that in itself, he'd still be the slowest of everyone on track if that's what he's stuck with. Now we're seeing both of the Ferraris coming out onto the circuit now. Jabaston and XRL Torpedo struggled against the McLaren drivers basically all week last week and were not able to overcome them whatsoever. The straight line speed for the McLaren was of such incredible importance at Imola that basically made it to where they were completely unable to be overtaken as long as those drivers did not make any mistakes. And that really harmed the Ferraris, who honestly were probably the fastest or second fastest cars on track, but they couldn't, convert. Most of their speed was mid-corner. They could not convert it into overtakes on the racetrack. So what we're going to do is we're going to go silent for a lap and right on board with title contender Davis John in his Ferrari for a full lap here around Portimao. Well, so much for that, so we're going to swap to Torpedo instead. And Torpedo goes up to third with a 1:18.137. Incredible time by the Ferrari driver. Absolutely love this circuit. The circuit, you click off the laps here very quickly, but the entire track looks so large and is so flowing, especially through Sector 2. Not a traditional kind of way, though. It's flowing in the sense that the landscape it's built on is very flowy, and the track is kind of built onto the mountains rather than through or around the mountains. It's a really nice and interesting layout, to say the least. It's one I absolutely adore. So meanwhile, Torpedo's teammate Jay Bastion is in the middle of a lap, 52.656 at the end of Sector 2. If John can complete this lap, he will be the last driver who have set a time here, and that will put XRL Flavor on the outside looking in Q1 here. XRL Matrix, Jigsaw, Dragon, Waddington, and Zola have all retired in the pit lane. None of them feel a need to go back out on track. And now Jabas John jumps up into the low 18s with his teammate Torpedo, but right now only Kinsey Retro and XRL Matrix are in the 117 range right now. So the focus at this point comes down to XRL Low, who is on an outlap at the moment. He wants to make sure that if other drivers... Oh, and Smoothly has had an accident! And one of your title contenders, Smoothly 25, has an accident, and that means that he will not advance into the next round of qualifying. So as I was saying, the focus is on XRL Low right now, because he is on an outlap and is going to try and go faster. Now we see Beastian coming back out into the circuit. Right now, Beastian is 14th, but if Flavor was to come out and pick up on time in any significant amount, Beastian would be squeezed out. So Low and Beastian trying to react in preparation for Flavor coming back onto the circuit potentially. Here comes the Alpine out of the final corner now. And shoots down the main straight. As we see Jay Baston coming into the pits, his teammate Torpedo's already retired. Now Ozda retires in pit lane. Low is actually closing in on Frisbee on the circuit right now. And Low invalidates the lap, and that's not going to help him. One thing that might help him, though, is that Beastian is only now about to start his lap, but Flavor has not yet made an attempt to get back onto the circuit. If Flavor wants to get a lap in, he's going to want to start coming out onto the circuit sooner rather than later. Aggressive over the curbs in the first corner. Very Mickey Mousey first 3 corners on the racetrack. And then he invalidates in turn 4. So the focus goes back to Low. And now we see XRL Flavor beginning to come onto the track once more. Frisbee is coming to the pits and he's retired, so he's obviously not going to go again. But at the moment, it looks like XRL Low may be safe. He's down on time right now at the end of Sector 1. Only by 0.08, but if he wants to improve and open the gap up between himself and the Red Bulls, he's probably going to want more than that. Oh, and Beastian's had a spin in Sector 3. He's trying to rush to the line in time to get one more lap in. Beastian will be able to get in one more lap. As the focus once again is on Low. Now Low is up by nearly a full 10th at the end of Sector 2. So he's clawed back all that time and then some. The car is very low and light on fuel at the moment. And he aborts. Despite the fact that he wasn't in position, he didn't have to worry. And he was going to pick up time, he aborts. So Flavor now begins. He needs to improve by about 0.2 if he wants to squeeze his teammate Beastian out of Q2. Beastian has another spin there, so Beastian does not really have any serious chance to improve on his lap time. Flavor is already up by the necessary amount in Sector 1 alone. Time is up in the session. We will see Beastian come into pit lane, at least we're anticipating that. Flavor has set his best Sector 2 time right now. So as long as he doesn't make a mistake in this final bit of circuit, he should squeeze his teammate out of Q2. Yes, he does. In fact, not only does he squeeze BCN out, Flavor goes up into the 18s with an 18.970. So an incredible improvement in lap time by XRL Flavor at the very end. Lowe needs to be thanking his lucky stars that Smoothie 25 crashed out, because otherwise Lowe would not have made it into the next round of qualifying with the time that Flavor set there. So a great job on his part. And now we look at the lineup on circuit. For the top 14 drivers, these are the ones that will advance. Lowe, XRL 19, XRL Flavor, XRL Azza, XRL Zola, A, Waddington, XRL Dragon, Frisbee, XRL Edgar, XRL Jigsaw, XRL Torpedo, Jabus John, XRL Matrix, and Kinsey Retro will all advance into the next round of qualifying. The drivers that will not will be Find Waldo, Davey UART 23, Level 6 BCN, and Smoothie 25, as we are already preparing to get underway with the second round of qualifying here at Portimao. So already the first driver getting out onto the circuit well ahead of the rest of the field is this man here, Elf Frisbee in the Haas. And just now we're seeing other drivers come out into the circuit. So Frisbee first to take to the track on the medium tire compounds. Right now, of our 14 drivers, 10 of them are electing to try and get their lap in on medium tires. As you see Waddington jump on the track, Edgar and Azza jump onto the track. Now we're seeing Kinsey Retro coming down off of pit lane and onto the racetrack. And he'll be joined right afterwards by XRL Jigsaw. Now we're seeing the McLaren camp. They're sending one of those drivers out as well. Of note, Kinsey is one of the few drivers who are still on soft tires right now. Frisbee now crosses the line to begin his lap. And that's XRL 19 he overtakes. Yellow flag in Sector 3. That is Azza, who's pulled over and let other drivers pass. But right now, Frisbee is the man who is positioned himself to set the bar everyone else will be trying to run down and overcome. Switched over the curbs for Frisbee, but he's kept it together nice and well. Now coming to the last three corners. Now there's just two more corners to go. And now that long downhill to uphill sweeper that makes up the fast flying corner. It's all full throttle through here. .118.822 at the end of Sector 1. At the end is the lap, and he immediately jumps off the throttle after crossing the line. Great job on Edgar's part. So now, on Frisbee's part, so now the focus goes to Edgar, as he's going to try and run him down. But realistically, we're more interested in this man here, Kinsey Retro. Kinsey will have aerodynamic wake off of Waddington to deal with, and Kinsey is on soft tires. Kinsey sets at 18.957, but I have to wonder if that lap time may have been compromised due to all the time he spent in Waddington's aerodynamic wake. 19 also on track, and he is on soft tires. Now Jigsaw goes to the top in the Alpine, 118.690. Now we see XRL Dragon shooting out of the final corner, and the McLaren, they will go ahead and set a time of 1:19.287. And then just a little bit behind him, we'll see XRL Low cross the line as he's going to try and match his teammates' time at the top of the sheets. 19 will be the 8th driver to set a time in the session. He's on soft tires, and with no aerodynamic wake, I anticipate he should take the top spot. No, he does not. 118.908, so it's not working the greatest for 19 or Kinsey to jump right to the top, but they still have very competitive times, to say the least. Now we see Flavor and Javis John are both out onto the circuit right now. Matrix, Torpedo, and Zola, none of them have yet come onto the circuit, but as I say that, Zola has just come onto the track, and we're seeing Matrix has come out of pit lane as well, and now Torpedo is on the run down the line as well. So all cars will be on the racetrack at pretty much the same time by the looks of it. As you continue to focus on Low, Kinsey Retro coming into the pits after setting his lap of 18.9. Flavor crossing the line, and he has now begun his flyer. Low will set a time 1:19.667, so the complete opposite of Jigsaw. It seems like Low continues to struggle significantly in that Alpine machine. And Edgar has had a spin there in Sector 2. No damage to the car. He'll be able to continue, but fuel light's low, so he'll likely come... Well, he's actually... Yeah, fuel light's low, but he can still probably make this set of tires work if he so wanted. If he wanted, they could bring him into the pit, just throw some more gas in, send him back out without issue. The tires still will have life in them because he is one of the drivers who are on mediums at the moment. Zola now begins his flyer. But I'm more interested in this man here. Oh, I guess that's not who I'm interested in. Never mind. I'm interested in this man here, Flavor. Oh, and Matrix has got... No, that's Ozda. Ozda has had a spin in the final sector. Well, that leaves the rest of the circuit clean for Flavor now. And he'll cross, and Flavor goes to the top, 118.592, and I think the meme of Flavor not being great in qualifying can be thrown out the window now. Javis John now sets the time 18.755. Zola and Matrix both setting themselves up to be the next driver. Matrix very nearly clad with Dragon there, as Matrix is on a lap, and just ahead you can see Zola. Right now, Low is on the bubble with a 19.667. With Edgar on the outside looking in, so these two crossing the line will likely upset that. Zola jumps up to 7th, and Matrix to the top, 118.385 on the mediums. So now Torpedo is the last driver who needs to set time in this session. And he does it, 118.543. So with that happening now, Dragon is the driver on the bubble with a 19.239. It's Ozda, Waddington, Low, and Edgar who are all on the outside looking in. Zola on a cooldown lap at the moment. Javis John on a cooldown lap as well. In fact, everyone is on a bit of a cooldown lap at the moment. But as I say that, I'm seeing movement in pit lane. And the Mercedes camp, they have sent Kinsey Retro already out into the circuit. It looks like he's going to be joined by XRL Edgar. The interesting thing for Kinsey is that he has gone from his first lap, which is on softs, now he is going on mediums. Waddington, they are retiring in pit lane. He's not in the top 10. They say, look, we know you can't go any faster. We're not going to waste any more sets of time. We're not going to take up track from anyone else. We're going to retire and just settle with what will likely be somewhere between a 12th and 14th place starting position in the race. And Zola has actually stayed out and is going for another flyer. So he did have a lap that was 10 seconds down on time, but I guess he was cooling down and trying to get focused. Now this car is going to be a little bit lighter, so it'll have greater ability to carry speed through the corners and greater initial acceleration out of the corners in the McLaren. But he invalidates, and that experiment's dead. Torpedo also has stayed out on the circuit as well. Again, that's one of the advantages of being on medium tires. I think Torpedo might have already backed out this lap. Yeah, he has backed out significantly, 5 seconds. So whatever he's looking for, he has not found it. Edgar up by 6/10 at the end of Sector 1 alone. But he has gone from medium to soft tire, so it's natural to expect that he will have improved in time. The more interesting one is going to be this man who's just ahead of him on track, Kinsey Retro. And Kinsey's up by 1/10 of a second in Sector 1, despite going to a slower tire compound. And that's the advantage of having clean air here, it would appear. Kinsey is 8th on the timesheets right now. A little bit of a twitch. Now he's up by over half a second, and he's around. He's into the grass. Spins, and that lap is going to come to a very rough and abrupt start. But for Kinsey Retro, we know that they have time. He knows that as long as there's fuel in that car, he can go again. Although he's going to have to... He's not going to have a lot of chance to recharge the ERS, sadly. That happened right in the second to last major braking zone, so ERS will be a little bit up in the air. Edgar, 118.096. And for Kinsey, they are coming into the pit lane, so they do not, I guess they don't have fuel to go for another run. Dragon is up by 1/10 of a second right now. If he maintains that, he would leapfrog over Zola. As Dragon is currently on the outside looking in, his teammate Zola is on the bubble. Lowe also on the circuit, but he's invalidated the lap he's in the middle of right now. Ozzy has come back out into the circuit as well, as has Edgar, who already has gone to the top. Dragon now up by 8/10 at the end of Sector 2 alone. He'll get by the section that Kinsey had a little twitch at. So if Dragon can maintain this, he would jump up to about 9th. Actually, he might jump up closer to 6th. All right, out of the final corner. Flying to the line is Dragon. He'll cross it. 118.591, that's 4th. And that's the advantage of going from medium to soft tires. Zola has come onto the circuit. He has also avoided the medium tires and has gone to softs. Kinsey on another outlap. Kinsey is now on the outside looking in. And they have taken off the mediums. They've gone back to soft tires. So Kinsey apparently, despite experimenting earlier with the mediums and finding some speed in them, he wants to maintain on the softs, it would appear. 19, he is on the bubble right now in the Williams machine. And Frisbee also out on circuit. He is 9th. He's in the top 10, but just barely. Zola now in the middle of his lap. What can he do? He's already up by 1,500ths at the end of Sector 1 alone. That in itself, though, would not be enough to get him over 19. He needs to continue gaining time across the entire circuit. Lowe is up by 0.8 at the end of this lap. Will that be enough? I don't think it will be enough to get him in. No, Lowe only is up by about 2/3 of a second in 12th, and they are low on fuel on that car. I don't know if he's going to have the fuel to go for another flyer. Here comes Kinsey Retro to begin his lap. Yeah, they've slowed down for Lowe, so he is not going to advance to the next round. There's no chance for him to get to the start-finish line again for another shot at it. Jigsaw, Ozda, and Torpedo have all retired in pit lane, and Dragon is doing the same as we see Zola shooting out of the final corner for this lap now. Zola, 18.469, so a great improvement in that McLaren camp. Once again, we put the focus on Kinsey Retro and XRL 19. Frisbee is on the bubble as well. And a session that early on, most of the drivers were on softs, or on mediums. Everyone seems to be jumping in on softs if they think that's what it takes. That's the most obvious statement I think it could have ever said, actually. Of course they would have done that. He's up by nearly 4/10 at the end of Sector 2 there. Not as much of a gain as it was when he was on mediums. Lowe pulls off circuit there. Can Kinsey improve enough to get back in the top? If he does, Davis John might be in trouble because that would squeeze him out. To the line for Kinsey Retro. He's up to 6th. Great job on his part. So now John is on the bubble. 19 does not have a chance to make it in. Lowe does not either. Can Davis John squeeze in? He is up by nearly 1/10 of a second. That would be enough to squeeze Ozda out. Now he is up by over half a second at the end of Sector 2. There's just one more braking zone left. Flying through the last corner is Davis John. In the Ferrari, his teammate is 4th. Where will John be? To the top, 118.024. And of the drivers that make it to the next round on the medium tires, it is only Matrix, Torpedo, and Jigsaw. Everyone, all the other 7 drivers in the top 10 will all be in on a set of softs. As we see Frisbee now coming into the pits after his cooldown lap is done. Frisbee pulled out 18.2 in a Haas that, I'm gonna be honest, really would not be very well suited at this circuit. And that brings us to an end in this session. And there you are, the drivers that do and don't advance to the final round of qualifying. John, Edgar, Frisbee, Matrix, Torpedo, Zola, Kinsey, Dragon, Flavor, and Jigsaw all advance into round 2. And it's Ozda, 19, Lowe, and Waddington who will not be able to advance further. Waddington, though, big strategy call. I have validated that, yes, they elected to start on the mediums, even if it means that they're not going to have track position. So in the Williams team, they seem to think that having a good set of tires to start the race will be more important than track position here. Also, look at that spread from 1st to 10th, exactly 2/3 of a second spread between them. Okay, thank you for that game. But once again, Frisbee trying to be the first driver to get a lap in. Here comes Frisbee to the line. Only about half the field on circuit at the start of Q3, so kind of a strange decision to say the least. Normally we see a lot more frenzy to get onto the track. And Frisbee invalidates right away in Sector 1, in Turn 1, so that now turns it to Davis John to be the man who will set the lap that everyone will be chasing here, as now we see the Alpine of Jigsaw begin to come down pit lane. 22.414 at the end of Sector 1 for the Ferrari. Top of the hill, top of the mountain, and now a bit of a run down. 52.805 at the end of Sector 2, then coming back uphill. This is a hard braking zone, a very long, slow corner. Then one more quick braking zone to a not quite 90-degreer that sweeps. Leads into another corner that gets faster on exit. Then you have this full throttle final corner. You're already at near terminal velocity at the exit of it. 181 at the top of the hill, and then you open up DRS and get even faster down the main straight. Davis John 118.289 and immediately knocked off the top by his teammate Torpedo with a 17.952. I absolutely love this circuit. Fuel light flashing for Frisbee and the Haas, and despite the fact that he was in the middle of a lap, he's not going to commit to it. Zola has invalidated his lap, as has Jigsaw, so for the moment, only 4 drivers have set their times. Torpedo, Davis John, Kinsey, Retro, and Dragon. Dragon not with a very great lap, 120.2. Oh, and he's off. So now with that, I guarantee you that he'll be coming into the pits. As his teammate Zola is shooting by right behind him, as Zola's going to go for another attempt now at a lap. ...201 miles an hour at the end of the main straight. Big rear end slide out of the McLaren coming out of turn 2. 22.492 at the end of sector 1. Now through the hairpin. Jigsaw goes to the top, 117.818. So at least one driver is making the most of the Alpine. Here comes Zola now. He'll be the 6th driver to set a time here. It's a 118.918. Now the focus goes to Matrix, your points leader. Frisbee's already back out onto the circuit, as is Dragon. Edgar has finally come onto the track as well. Flavor still has not come in. Interesting scenario for Flavor, making it through all rounds of qualifying. He has not yet made an attempt to get onto the track, though, interestingly enough. Final corner in the Aston Martin. Uphill. 117.519 for your points leader. And now he is the provisional pole setter. Only in 5 minutes will we know if he will maintain that or not. Jigsaw coming in at the end of his cooldown lap. Now we see Dragon in the middle of another lap. Frisbee, spin there, and he has hit a wall in Sector 2. Is there wing damage on that car? Yes, there is. And for Frisbee, this final round qualifying continues to give him trouble. Matrix coming out of the final corner. Does he improve on his time? No, he does not. He's actually way down on time. Dragon and Edgar, both in the middle of laps. Dragon trying to improve on his time. Right now he's 8/10 off the next closest man, and nearly 3 full seconds off the top of the sheets. For Edgar, he has not yet set a lap in this session. Improvement for Dragon, up to 5th with an 18.417. Edgar, though, knocks that out with a 117.847, so a great job on his part. Now we see Flavor finally coming out onto the circuit, and he is being joined by Javis John and Kinsey Retro. Matrix has invalidated this lap, so I imagine he's going to come in and maybe not even get another chance to go for another flyer here. Oh, McLaren around. That's Dragon. Same area that Frisbee went around at. Is back underway. Frisbee coming back onto the circuit now. Zola in the middle of an outlap, but he sees Edgar ahead of him on the track. He needs to hope that the AlphaTauri will not be in his way when he gets into the twisty bits in sectors 1, 2, and 3. That's basically the entire track. Zola crosses the line. Now Kinsey is doing the same, as is the second Ferrari driver, as is Flavor. Dragon retires in the pit lane. So that will relegate Dragon to a 6th place starting spot at best. Zola trying to improve in these last few moments of the session. Jigsaw is on an out lap, but can Jigsaw make it to the line before the clock's up? I honestly do not think so. Zola's up by a bit over a third of a second at the end of Sector 2 there. Behind Zola on track is Jigsaw. Jigsaw desperately wants to make it to the line in time to get one more shot at the pole, but it does not look likely that will happen. Torpedo has improved up to second, 117.769. And for this session, time's up, over, plow, Zola. He does improve, but does not move up the grid, 118.531. Here comes Kinsey Retro. He is up by over a second. He'll jump up to a 5th place starting position. Flavor will be the big upset, starting 9th by the looks of it. Frisbee will be the next driver who needs to cross the line. He invalidates. So for Frisbee, he will not get a single lap in the session and will be relegated to a 10th place starting spot. So with all that in mind, it now goes to Torpedo. Torpedo up by over 2/10 at the end of Sector 2. Can Torpedo steal the pole position from Matrix? No, he does not. He does close the gap, but not by much. So Torpedo only sets a 17.769 at the end, and that is your spread. So despite the fact that all of these men were within 2/3 of a second of each other at the end of Session 2, only 9 of them are within a second and a half of each other at the end of the final round of qualifying. The gap between 1st and 6th here is greater than what the gap was between 1st and 10th in the prior session. So now, 5-minute wait until we get to the start of the race itself. So as we wait, we're going to go ahead and walk you through the standings as they are right now in the 2 championship fights. When it comes to Manufacturers Championship, Mercedes is 10th with 42 points. Red Bull is 9th with 79. 8th is Alpine with 98. 7th is Haas with 105. McLaren is 6th with 113. That leaves them just 1 point out from Alfa Romeo, who is 5th with 114 points. 4th is Williams with 134 points. 3rd is Aston Martin with 171. 2nd, Scuderia AlphaTauri with 211 points. And leading the Manufacturers Championship by a significant margin, Scuderia Ferrari with 256 points at the moment. Then we turn our focus to the Drivers' Championship. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. At the bottom, Dave Ebor only has a single point. 19th is Ultimate with 4. There's a tie for 17th still between Collyboy and Edgar. They both have 6. XRL 19 has 13 points. He is 16th on the sheet. That's a lot of teens. XRL Yun is 14th with 26 points. XRL Jigsaw is 15th with 28. El Frisbee is 12th with 38 points. That just leaves him one out from Beastian, who is 11th. Flavor is only 1 point ahead of his teammate. Flavor is 10th with 40 points. There is a tie for 9th between teammates Gabo 367.20 and Mr. Worsen in the Alfa Romeo camp. XRL Zola is 8th with 65. XRL Low is 6th with 75. XRL Raptor is 7th with 83. Then you get into your title contenders. Ryan Hurricane is 5th with 111 points. Smoothie 25 is 4th with 114. XRL Torpedo is 3rd with 119. Jabus John is 2nd with 125. And XRL Matrix leads by 19 points. He has 144 at the top at the moment. Real quickly, as we look at the race director setting, the top 3 drivers starting on mediums, but outside of that, 11th, 12th, 14th, all starting on mediums. Everyone else will be starting on softs. And of note, everyone from 3rd to 10th will be starting on worn soft tires. Looks like we're getting a relatively early start to the race. I'm on board with that. Yeah, anytime we can get an early start to a race, I'm on board with. Four lights, 5 lights. That's lights out. Away we go. And Flavor gets a drive-through penalty away for having a jump start. And he'll fall right to the back of the grid. But at the front, Matrix overtakes Jigsaw and Torpedo for the lead. Farther back, Zola and Jabus John having a fight. John makes contact with 19 now and gets a time penalty for track violation almost immediately as we are under a full course safety car. Not sure what the full course safety car is. Oh, there's damage on the machine for Beastian. And Dragon has lost the position to Ozda as well. Does he have damage? And now Davis John has a penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. Now there's just penalties going all over the circuit. Very strange start to the race, but we should be getting underway sooner rather than later here. Oh, yep, there we are. We're underway. And we're underway just as they were coming to the green there. And Dave Ewart has had significant damage. I've missed this somewhere, but he has lost the entire front wing off that car. And now Jigsaw gets by Matrix, and now Kinsey is going to go by Torpedo as well. So a lot of movement at the top of the grid at the moment. A bunch of drivers coming into the pits farther back to either repair damage or serve penalties. As you see, Edgar is now putting pressure on Torpedo. The AlphaTauri pops out, but he does get alongside the Ferrari, but the Ferrari does have the outside on accident, and that will work well enough to keep Torpedo ahead of the AlphaTauri for the moment. But Edgar is on softs that, for right now at least, will be faster than Torpedo's mediums. Right now, the top 8 all very close to each other on the circuit. Twitched there by Zola. The DRS, I imagine, will turn on when they come across the start-finish line this time. Torpedo trying to close in on Kinsey. Kinsey is running down Matrix, though. Jigsaw new fastest time there, and John has had an accident in Sector 2. Yes, there's the word, DRS has been enabled. So for Matrix, this is good. This will be a case that he might be able to utilize to fight back against the likes of Kinsey and Torpedo behind him. Frisbee has crashed out way off circuit. Wow. Wow, that's way off. That's another virtual safety car. This does work out well for Kinsey because now Kinsey might be able to stay close enough to Matrix that he can get DRS on him when they come to the main straight, and Matrix is outside of DRS range, so Kinsey trying to come up through the grid, this might work out. There you are, DRS has been enabled. Matrix did close back in on Jigsaw though, so he will be able to utilize DRS as a defense, but Kinsey has a tremendous run. Look at that, Mercedes versus Mercedes, power down the straight into the braking zone. Kinsey's not gonna push the issue too hard because he knows that he can still make it work. John, another incident at the exact same part of the track as last lap. DRS again on Matrix. This time he pulls alongside, dives in. He's alongside. Coming out of the corner though, it looks like Matrix will hold the spot for just a little longer. And John, way off circuit. That's the same area that Frisbee had his crash at. And with that, it means that there's a high likelihood we might see Javis John go a lap down. So for one of your title contenders, it's gone from bad to worse. Matrix is closing back in on Jigsaw at the moment, so it may be a multi-car fight for the lead when they get to the main straight and DRS kicks in. Torpedo is right there as well. He is very much ready to really upset this fight. No one's able to get alongside going into turn one that time. But the top four have all closed in. Edgar has caught the Ferrari. Not able to get alongside him yet though. Now he is. And with a little bit of DRS and ERS usage, it looks like he's gonna out-drag him into the corner. So move Edgar up into the 4th position. Although Torpedo will fight back on the outside to try and maintain track position, but it goes back in Edgar's favor in the following quarter. Edgar and Kinsey Retro, though, trying to make up as many positions as they can before their soft tires start falling off a cliff here. At the front, this is the battle, though. Jigsaw holding off Matrix and Kinsey Retro for the moment. John, accident, front straightaway. Full course yellow. Not surprising, it looks like John has had an accident where he may have hit the pit lane wall. No, he's right on the racing line. No, he did hit the... I guess he did. Oh, and he's been hit! That's Edgar who's hit him! And one of your raceway contenders now involved in an accident here. Chaos at Portimao. The good news is, for Flavor, this gives him and everyone behind him a chance to move up and catch up to the back of the grid. This will be a long safety car period, to say the least. Also, Zola went ahead and took advantage of this to throw on new rubber, so he's now on fresh medium tires, and he's not really lost a lot of track position in the process. All right, coming into the broadcast booth is XRL Edgar. Edgar, go ahead and include your audio. You are having a great run out there, but looks like you were caught off guard by the wrecked Ferrari. Is that right?
Yeah, there's literally nothing in front of me. And then the car just appeared as I hit it.
All right, absolute frustration because you were making moves and it looked like you were in position to potentially try and fight for the race lead in another lap or two. Travesty, so I guess the big question is, do you think you can rebound next week at Jeddah?
I hope so. It's just frustrating when shit like that happens. Oh, yeah. There's literally nothing in front of me and then the car just appeared. And I've just smashed into it.
Alright, well, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and share your perspective of it. I'm really, really sad to see that happen, especially considering that the yellow flag had already been out for some time when the impact occurred. Anyways, I'll go ahead and let you go. Once again, I do want to say thank you as we turn our focus back onto the racetrack now. Seems like an open shut case of just the game being weird. So now we are down to 15 cars. But it will be a long time until the full field's caught up, because although Zola has caught the back of the grid and Flavor is just about to catch the back of the grid, and Lowe and Waldo will catch in a few seconds, Beastian is still the better part, 20 seconds off the back of the field. Now the good news is he can make up most of that time on the straights, but still. This track's large enough that you don't exactly just make up 20 seconds under the yellow flag that easily, unless it's down the straights. Of note, though, only Dave Ewart and XRL Zola elected to pit under the safety car. They both threw on fresh medium tires. Dave's back there in 15th. He was at risk of going a lap down, as was Beastian. So this really has helped out for them. For Zola, though, I think he may be in the best position because he now has tires better than just about everyone else's on the racetrack. As we are watching Beastian, he is rushing to try and catch the back of the grid right now. There he is. Beastian's now caught the back of the grid, and we'll see Dave Ewart do the same here on the main straight. So real quickly, we'll go ahead and check fuel. See if anyone is struggling with fuel mileage at this point in the event. Dragon still is a little bit low on fuel right now. But he is the only one in that position. Again, Dragon has made it clear that he has long had a strategy of significantly under-fueling the car and then trying to make that time back up as the event goes on, and it's worked out well enough for him. He has never had a problem of running out of fuel at the end of the race. That's something that his teammate Zola had, though, when Zola's tried mimicking that strategy himself. So we'll be going green this lap 9 of 66. So we're only about 15% of the way through this race, honestly. But Jigsaw has control of this race. Matrix and Kinsey Retro will be the ones fighting for the lead. When they hit the green flag, you can see the pace car already zooming off into the distance. Jigsaw didn't really worry about backing up the field too much. The gaps kind of stay even at the front. Ozda in 5th is in the best position right now. He immediately goes side-by-side with Torpedo going into turn 1. Side-by-side Aston Martin, Ferrari, but does not look like he's going to be able to do it alone because now 19's going to make it 3 wide in turn 2. He will he be able to overtake any of them? Yes, he's going to overtake both of them. He'll get a time penalty in the process, but it's an outstanding move by 19. Now Ozda's trying to get back by Torpedo. Torpedo, though, is going to convert his defense into an offense back against 19. Scoop back by. Here comes Warrington on the outside of Ozda. 19 sideways. And for all that great bold movements that he did, he has now lost all of that and falls into the deep midfield. Zola, Smoothie, fighting for 10th, the last point-paying position. His fine Waldo is hanging out behind them. Oh, wow, very nearly the contact between 10th and 11th there. Zola tries to make use of fresh rubber, but at the front, Matrix, about 2/5 of a second out behind Jigsaw. Jigsaw in the Alpine, though, seems to be faster on initial acceleration. Matrix holding in, though, on the basis of ERS and draft. Flavor. Bastian, accident! And it looks like he may have crashed coming into pit lane. And that's a full course safety car once more. All right, and coming into the party right now is level 6 Beastian. Beastian, go ahead and include your audio. What happened out there? It looked like you may have crashed coming into pit lane.
Oh no, even worse, I wasn't even trying to pit. I was going straight. The setup said forget it. The car said we're done today, and it just crashed. I accelerated, I guess, a little bit too early than I should have, but yeah. It's not like what's it called? It's not like I was having fun anyways, so it's over and it's done. Hopefully Jeddah's a little bit better.
Rough run, obviously not great in qualifying, not great in the race either. I guess there's not really a whole lot else to say, so thanks for being so frank and candid at least.
No problem. Catch you guys next week.
All right, so under this yellow flag, though, drivers near the front might, especially those who have started on softs like Kenzie or Dragon, they might elect to get off the soft tires and get on alternate strategy. That seems to be exactly what Kinsey Retro is doing now. To see him coming down pit road. Dragon, though, wants to stay out on his soft tires for a little bit longer, as does Low. So Kinsey, for the moment, seems to be the only person making the stop, him and Flavor. Medium tires for both of them. And then I imagine we're going to see the entire field gather back up, probably within this lap. So we are now 1/6 of the way through this race. Well, we're about 1/6 of the way through this race. 2 full course yellow flags, 2 virtual safety cars. So we've had a lot of good on-track action, but we've not had any significant green flag runs, and the field does seem to get spread out relatively quickly once we seem to turn more than a lap or two under race conditions, though. And here we are. Now you see Kinsey in the Mercedes. He'll close up to his teammate Dave Ewart back there. I do think, though, that Kinsey might be in a good position when it comes to strategy now at this point in the event, though. Same with Flavor. Although they're both going to be at the back of the grid, everyone ahead is on significantly more worn tires. The only exceptions being Dave Ewart, Kinsey's teammate, and Zola, who is there in 10th. So yeah, I think this strategy call will work out well for both these drivers if they can convert these new fresh tires into on-track overtakes. As the entire field is now gathered up, there will be another lap under the safety car. One of the big beneficiaries into that yellow is Torpedo, because he had to fight with Kinsey earlier. Now Kinsey's paid, doesn't have to worry about that. He was fighting with Edgar earlier before that prior yellow flag. Now Edgar's gone as well, so it's turned into, at the front, a potential 3-horse race. But we only say that because we don't really know what kind of speed Waddington or Ozda have in their machines right now. We should be going green this lap. There we are. Safety car officially will be coming in this lap. So for a second time, Jigsaw has control of the field coming to the green flag. Jigsaw's bunching up the grid a lot more this time. Alright, and we are green, and farther back, Smoothie 25 had a horrible start, has lost 3 positions right off the bat, and same with Dragon. As we see Low and 19 split the McLaren, and now Smoothie's going to try and get at least one of those positions back against the McLaren as well. Zola now trying to see if he can get away by Dragon. Not working out. Waldo's going to go around the outside of Zola now. Nearly 3 wide. No, they are going to be 3 wide. And for Dragon on the worn soft tires, everything's gone sideways in the wrong way. As we now see Kinsey Retro, he's going to out-drag him. And it looks like we might see... Yeah, Dragon tried to lunge it in there, but ended up killing his momentum. And now he's fallen out of the top 10. And he has... Frankly, he's struggling just to stay ahead of Dave Ewart by the looks of it as well now. So a poor restart by Smoothie 25 ends up having massively negative knock-on effects for XRL Dragon. Now we see Dave Ewart and XRL Flavor closing in. And of note, Dragon and Flavor having a bit of a rivalry, a bit of a spat going on between them. Both in feel that they yipped each other out of good runs at Yas Marina a few weeks back. But at the front, Jigsaw holds about a half-second lead over XRL Matrix. Just a bit past the 1/5 point of this race. Kinsey's trying to pick him up and lay him down. He's now closed in behind Fine Waldo. The fresh rubber working out very well for Kinsey right now. Waldo, though, ran wide coming onto that straight. Kinsey, very high-risk maneuver. Didn't really pull alongside Waldo, but he took a significantly different line than the Alfa Romeo going through that slow-speed corner. It's worked out because now Kinsey's a little closer to Waldo than he was earlier. Now he pulls alongside uphill. Easy move, and Dragon's around. The tires have given up the ghost for Dragon. Kinsey now already back into the points paying positions. And next on his hit list will be XRL, Zola, and the other McLaren. So Kinsey doing a great job working his way up through the grid right now. Torpedo right there behind Matrix, and he has just set the fastest lap of the race thus far. The draft is definitely helping with it. So yeah, it's turned into a 3-horse race near the front. Ozda is there behind Wyington for 4th. And then the rest of the field is spread out relatively well. Kinsey's now behind Zola, and DRS will be in his favor going down the straight. I don't think he's close enough to pull alongside the McLaren, but oh, he's flying down the straight though. He's going to go for it. He looks for it. And he had his nose ahead alongside, so they were side by side in the corner, but now Kinsey's going to have to find some way by the McLaren without DRS, or at least wait until the next lap and the next straightaway. Problem is, Zola is right dancing on the edge of being within a second of Smoothie. Ooh, Kinsey has to really back out there in the aerodynamic wake of that McLaren. But all this fighting has left Zola outside of the 1 second mark against Smoothie though, so Kinsey might just be able to wait until they get to the main straight for this. Meanwhile at the front, Jigsaw, Matrix, Torpedo for the lead. This time Matrix has DRS on the Alpine. And the Ferrari is hanging out right there in 3rd. No movement. But for 4th, Ozda is there, and with an easy DRS overtake, Ozda goes up in the 4th. Waddington does the crossover move though, going into turn 2, and he'll complete it in 3. And now Lowe has closed in on both of them, and Lowe is on some of the oldest tires on the entire grid right now. And Kinsey's gotten by Zola, and although Zola is using DRS to fight back down the straight, I think it's worked out well enough for Kinsey that he now just has to focus on Smoothie 25 ahead. So the fresh rubber working wonders for the Mercedes at the moment. At the front though, Jigsaw holding on over Matrix, but just barely. Switch from Matrix there. And the field now shoots onto the main straightaway. Jigsaw swerving back and forth to try and break the draft. Matrix gets his front wing alongside. He looks on the outside, can't make it stick there though. This gives Torpedo a chance to maybe pull alongside the Aston. He can't do it either. Davey Hart now comes in the pits. I guess there may be damage on that car, so that'll drop him to 14th. Kinsey, Smoothie, fighting for position. But at this point, everyone here has DRS, and the AlphaTauris are very competent in a straight line. Oh, wow, look at 19 right in front of both of them. That compromises both of their runs, but it looks like Kinsey is faster on the exit. Smoothie has the inside lane, though, and will deny it to Kinsey. Kinsey is still hanging out there on the outside. And this time it looks like Kinsey will take advantage. He's faster. Smoothie fights back, nearly makes contact, and falls behind the Mercedes. And Kinsey's already back within a second of 19 ahead. So he's continuing his run and his flight up through the field. At the front though, Matrix once again, he's within a third of a second of Jigsaw. He's got DRS, and Torpedo is there as well. What does the Alpine do to defend? Nothing this time. He's just gonna hold on to the position. Matrix dives to the inside, side by side going through 1, side by side going through 2. Matrix takes it. Torpedo tries to follow suit, but can't get by the Alpine. Kinsey now solidly in 8th, and he's putting his pressure and focus on the Williams of XRL 19 ahead of him. a third of a second, and now closing as Kinsey has DRS down this straight. Does he get alongside? The Williams defends aggressively. The Mercedes doesn't care. Straight line speed works in his favor. Kinsey now up to 7th. Zola now using the things of his slightly fresher tires to try and get by Smoothie. 19 is fighting back against Kinsey though in the more technical bits in Sector 2. Kinsey though is starting to open up the gap. Now though the gap between Kinsey and the drivers ahead are significantly larger. This time he's gonna have to defend against someone else who has DRS. Farther up though, Matrix has opened up more than a second gap over Jigsaw. Torpedo is putting the pressure on. He wants to steal 2nd place. And it looks like it will be an open and shut DRS overtake for position. 19 coming into the pits. That's good news for Kinsey because now he has clean track ahead and behind him. He can just focus on clicking off laps nice and clean until he catches the drivers ahead. Waddington has DRS on Ozda for 4th, but he's not close enough to make anything of it. Zola continuing to fight with Smoothie, but now Smoothie has dropped off from everyone else. So Zola has slightly fresher tires than the AlphaTauri, and both the McLaren and AlphaTauri are beasts in straightaway, so I think Zola should be able to make this overtake happen going down the stretch this time. At the front, Torpedo and Matrix fighting for position. Torpedo looks to the outside, cannot make it stick. So we turn focus back to this fight for 8th. Smoothie is faster getting onto that straight though. And Jigsaw's made a mistake, gone off circuit. He's now 3 seconds out from 2nd. So the tires might be fading away now for Jigsaw. Torpedo hanging out behind Matrix, putting pressure on the Aston Martin, but not able to get alongside down any of the straights or into the corners. He might be hoping more that he can pressure his title rival into making a mistake. Matrix surges forward on the track there. So let's continue our focus also on the battle for 8th and 9th. Lowe has also lost touch with Waddington, but Kinsey's not really catching Lowe at a massive rate either. So the soft tires seem to have a little bit more life in them than I anticipated. Once again, to the front though. Torpedo will have DRS, Matrix does not. So this should be an easy DRS open-shut overtake. And that's exactly what it looks like it will be. Does Matrix fight back on the 2nd DRS straight? He's not going to be able to. The gap opened up too quickly in the Ferrari's favor. So Ferrari now takes the lead of the race. So 3 of our 4 engine manufacturers have led laps thus far today. Alpine's Renault engine has led a bunch of laps, then the Mercedes engine and the Aston Martin. And now the Ferrari in the Scuderia Ferrari camp leads here. Waddington continues to stalk Ozda, but not be able to do anything and convert into any moves. Pola still pressuring Smoothie. Ooh, twitch in the McLaren. And that opens up the gap in favor of the AlphaTauri. Kinsey is finally done clicking off laps on his own. He is now closed in on XRL Low and may be in a position to utilize DRS to overtake the Alpine. Jigsaw pits out of third. Kinsey is flying down the straight, but the gap between 5th and 6th is holding steady. So I don't know if Kinsey's just not pushing super hard or he wants to wait until the next straightaway. Kinsey has been showing a significant preference for making a dive side by side in the hairpin. A third of a second. Now a 5th. He's alongside. He dives. But the Alpine has the outside lane, and despite having very worn soft tires, it looks like he'll maintain that position for a little bit longer. Kinsey doing a fantastic job maximizing his tire life. You can see in a lot of the corners here, he is staying just a little bit off lane, so that way he has more fresh air over the front wing and front tires rather than the dirty air that is being disturbed by Lowe's machine. Ooh, Lowe did not have a good run coming out of the straight. Kinsey's already right there behind him. And Lowe's gonna pit. He wants off the soft tires, so Kinsey now has DRS and clean air ahead. He now turns his focus to Waddington and Ozza ahead for 3rd and 4th. So Kinsey has now made up nearly all the positions he lost when he pitted, and he's still in a relatively good position when it comes to strategy. Dragon is also elected to pit now as well. And Dragon might be going under the hard tires. No, soft to soft. So interesting, he'll still have to jump onto mediums at some point in this race though. In the top position, Matrix is losing ground slowly to Torpedo, and the DRS is helping but not helping enough. Behind them, Waddington is closed just a bit on Ozda, but if they're gonna fight, they need to make their fight happen fast because Kinsey is faster than both of them. Zola continuing to put pressure on Smooth for 6th position as well. Smoothie just is so much better getting out of that final braking zone, and he carries that speed all down the straight. Zola just can't even stay within DRS range, but the moment they start getting in the more twisty section, Zola closes and sucks almost right back onto the rear of the AlphaTauri until they get into that final braking zone. Kinsey now behind the battle of Ozda and Waddington. Christ, you see how much more speed Kinsey sails into that hairpin with. So if Waddington wants to make this move for position, he's going to want to make it now and put Ozda between himself and Kinsey, so that way Kinsey doesn't make a high-risk move in the hairpin braking zone. Kinsey's tires have just a little bit more than half the laps that Ozda and Waddington's do. Oh wow, Kinsey. Oh wow, Kinsey! Look at that speed he's carrying! DRS drag race between a Williams and a Mercedes. And it looks like it will be a Mercedes to the top without issue in that fight. Now Waddington has the ability to potentially come back with DRS in the following straight if he so chooses. Ozda does a preemptive block, trying to deter Ozda from sending a dive into that hairpin. Aston Martin, though, ranked 2nd and 3rd on pace right now, as neither of them have pitted. Well, pace and strategy, I guess. But Kinsey wants to upset that. 19 has retired in pit lane. this fight continues to rage. Ooh, twitch from Kinsey, and that's going to help Ozza just a bit on defense. Waddington now behind, right behind the Mercedes. But Kinsey is still within DRS range of the Aston Martin. He'll use that to suck back up. Look at Ozza, big twitch coming onto the main straight. Scrubbed off a lot of speed. And it kind of doesn't matter, because although both of those drivers made mistakes on either coming on, or coming into that main straightaway at least, Kinsey sucks right back up to Ozza's rear end. He's not close enough to make a dive here in the hairpin this time, but again, Ozza is so paranoid, so concerned about Kinsey lunging it that he keeps compromising his line just to deter the Mercedes from making the move. And while they're doing that, third and fourth are losing track and losing ground to the top two. Twitch by the Mercedes again. He's staying offline to keep fresh air on the tires, but it might be putting a little bit unique strain on the tires on that car. Waddington has fallen out of this battle, so it's now just between Kinsey and Ozza. Kinsey's closer to the Aston Martin than he was before. Ozza dives in deep to break the draft. Kinsey kind of doesn't care. He's just not trying to make the move in turn one. Kinsey really prefers making the move in the hairpin. Ozza doing everything he can, really squeezing the life out of the tires to keep Kinsey behind. This time Ozza doesn't defend. Kinsey gets right under, very nearly contact between the Aston Martin and the Mercedes going into that corner. Kinsey backed out there. That's kind of the counterpoint of taking alternate lines, though. You sometimes have to back out in corners when you shouldn't have to, because your lane is crossing over with someone else's lane, and it can really upset the aerodynamic stability of that car. But if you know that you can control the stability of the machine, and you're more worried about maximizing tire life, then it's worth it. All right, Kinsey is right there behind Ozza again. This time, Kinsey's following Ozza in the draft for a bit. Not the entire way, but he did it for a bit. Is he going to be side by side in the braking zone? Yes, he is. He knows he can't seem to get by him in the hairpin, so he's going to outrun him. Ozza can't maintain it. Kinsey up into second because Matrix has pitted out second, and now Ozza maintains third, but has lost the position now to Kinsey. And Kinsey is only 13 seconds out from Torpedo, who is the race leader. Torpedo has yet to pit. So again, oh, look at that comeback from Ozza, though. Ozza does to Kinsey what Kinsey's been doing to everyone else. Incredible. I thought that battle was over. And it was good enough that it caught Kinsey unaware. Kinsey backed off. Ozza holds on. Incredible. So Kinsey now knows that So here's the thing, Ozza seems to be strong enough coming out of corners 3 and 4 that Kinsey struggles to get alongside of that Aston. Oh, big twitch by the Ozza, and that lets Kinsey pull alongside. Mercedes ahead of the Aston Martin, but that now means that Ozza will have the lead. This will be the fight for the lead because Torpedo has come into the pits. Ozza will have DRS on the Mercedes down the straight here. Ozza was not able to convert that into an overtake on track, but Ozza's now going to try and do what Kinsey's done to him. Waddington is actually closed back in on this fight now. Kinsey trying to open up the gap as much as he can. Ozza looks He fakes. Kinsey defends and ends up compromising the Mercedes line. Ozda comes back. Not fast enough coming out of the acceleration zone, though. Oh, and he's around. And Ozda may have just pushed the tires a bit too far, too long, and too hard. And he'll drop to about third. It looks like Zola tried to get by him, but is not going to be able to, I don't think. Although Ozda needs to be careful that he doesn't overheat the tires and spin again in one of these next few corners. For Kinsey, though, he now holds the race lead. And the 3 drivers behind him will be a long time until any of them elect to pit. Also, with the way that this has all turned out, Torpedo is just a bit ahead of Matrix on circuit. Ozda and Zola both staying out a little bit longer. Torpedo is on within DRS range of Matrix. DRS range of Zola, so he'll use it as a defense. Zola now gets by Ozda with sheer DRS. Torpedo is using DRS to keep Matrix behind him. Does Ozda now make a move on Zola? Think he might consider it. He'll be faster down this straight. Can't get alongside. Oh, but Zola did not have a great exit either. And you have 2 different races for position going on here. Torpedo wants to get by Ozda so he can use Ozda as a pit between himself and Matrix. Zola twitches up ahead. Side by side. And that gave Matrix a position. But now Torpedo fights back as Torpedo has the lane of choice in the following corner. Matrix fighting back. And that will become the battle for a lead once Kinsey Retro does pit. Although that's likely not going to be for a long time. Everyone is going to be flying and breathing down Zola's neck. Zola trying to get off lane to break the draft. Ozda, Matrix, Torpedo all on top of each other here. Matrix looks to the outside. Ozda's not letting his teammate go that easily. That works out well for Torpedo. He might be able to fight back. Matrix around the outside of Ozda. He gets the position. Torpedo can't follow. Ozda slams the door on the Ferrari, but now the Ferrari comes steaming back in the following straightaway. Can't get alongside though. Yes, he does under braking. Bullies the Aston Martin out of the way, but the gap between the Ferrari and the other Aston has opened up a bit now. And Matrix is once again looking at Zola, wants that position, because he knows if he can get by Zola, he might be able to run down Waddington and Kinsey on pace. But all this time, the Aston stays behind the McLaren. It lets the Ferrari close in. Zola not very good through Sector 2, coming into Sector 3. Matrix looking for any way by he can see. The gap's open. Matrix goes for on the outside. Zola's trying to run him off circuit. Matrix is wise to that move. Side by side out of that final braking zone. Oh, very near contact. Look at this. Here we go, for the position. Matrix pulls up alongside Zola. Torpedo not going to make anything yet of it, because he doesn't know if this battle's gonna, how this battle's going to squeeze out. Zola ran wide, Matrix is by. Worked out for Matrix in the end. Torpedo had no guarantee, though, that he would have been able to charge for it and not been able to get by Zola. Zola using DRS as a defense against the Ferrari. Ferrari dive bomb into the hairpin. Zola can't maintain the outside line. The tires have been pushed too hard. His tires may be younger than Kinsey's and Waddington's and Ozda's, but they have nothing compared to the softs of Matrix and Torpedo. And that now gives Ozda the chance to fight back against the McLaren, and Ozda gets the position on track back over the McLaren driver. But all that fighting worked out great for Matrix. Matrix has not only gotten ahead of Torpedo, he's now outside of the DRS range of the Ferrari. The counterpoint though, Torpedo has no time penalties yet, And Torpedo has tires that are 1 lap fresher than Matrix, so for the rest of this tire run, unless Torpedo spends excessive amounts of time in aerodynamic wake, Torpedo will always be a small amount ahead of Matrix in the tire wear game. Counterpoint though, both of those drivers are faster than the ones in first and second who are on variable mediums. Zola gets back by Ozda by virtue of sheer DRS on the straightaways. Zola just has fresh enough tires, and he's able to use that as a defense against Ozda. I think Ozda's kind of burned his rubber up in all this extended fighting that's been going on. Farther back, Dragon is trying to recover from a spin he had on the prior restart. He's gone soft to soft, and he has closed in to the back of the grid a bit. He's fighting with Low for 10th position right now. But farther up, this is the other battle watch. Flavor has stretched these medium tires of his out quite a ways. He's 8th, and knowing how well Flavor conserves his tires, I honestly imagine that Flavor might be able to overtake and move up to 5th or 6th position when drivers ahead start electing to pit. So I think Flavor is in a great position to convert his earlier strategy into great track position later. Right now, though, he needs to fight with Jigsaw to try and get the position back. Also, of note, Torpedo's already charged back in on Matrix, so the battle for 3rd is still very much alive and underway. Dragon fighting on Low. Flavor on Jigsaw. Flavor doesn't make the move on Jigsaw yet, though. Dragon, though, doesn't have any such qualms on that. With the McLaren's superior straight line speed, he'll blast by Low into the braking zone, but clamber the curbs. The Alpine maintains the position a little bit longer. Waldo tries to fight back, can't capitalize. Now this battle for 3rd has taken an interesting change, and Ozda's had a spin. I think for him, the tires have given up the ghost. No damage to the car, but this will significantly hurt him in the race. But now Matrix has caught Waddington. The good news is he'll have DRS. The bad news is it's really backed Torpedo up. Matrix is going to have to find a way to use Waddington as a pick. But look at Torpedo, much faster lane going to the final corner. Waddington's coming in a pit. It'll be a DRS drag race down the straight. Torpedo falls in line behind Matrix, get the draft. No move by the Ferrari going into that braking zone, but we might see it on the following straightaway going into DRS. Waddington and Ozda have both made their stops. This is now a fight for 2nd. Low has crashed off circuit, and he's gone out there with Waddington. Safety car is out. And frustration for Waldo. For Ozda, though, this is great because he was in pit lane when the yellow flag came out. This will negate the positions lost. Waldo and Dave Ewart will take this to come into the pit lane. For Kinsey, this could work out very well. The field is still very much spread out. He can make a pit stop now. He's not going to lose a lot of spots. I think he's only going to fall to maybe 3rd or 4th. Same with Zola. Zola is so far away from Jigsaw back there in 5th that he also can elect to pit and not have to worry about it. The drivers this really hurts is Matrix and Torpedo because they're now going to be on moderately worn softs whenever we finally go back to green. Actually, going to be very worn softs. There we are, the top 3. So everyone in the top 3 positions pitting, as will 4th place Zola. I imagine 5th place will probably pit as well. Torpedo actually overtakes Matrix on the circuit, but Matrix will get back by him. But for Kinsey, this is key because he now has track position and is on the same tire compound as everyone behind. Jigsaw is pitting. Flavor is pitting. Waddington, though, had just put on soft tires, so he's actually going to gain track position from this. No, now Waddington goes up to 4th. Smoothie did not pit, although he's going to be on Warren Softs, but he's now up into 5th. Dragon did not pit. He's now up into 6th. So Dragon is doing an XL flavor strategy, ignoring the safety car to try and just follow whatever strategy he has, but everyone behind them has now pitted. So now it's going to be a very long period under the safety car that we have to wait for. But nearly the entire field pitted now. The big wild card is Dragon and Smoothie. I have to wonder, maybe Dragon did not pit because he knew Zola was in pit lane and they would have to double stack. And he wanted to avoid that. So we might see Dragon pitting this lap. We're getting word, so Lowe's not willing to jump into the party, but according to what he has said in the series Discord, he was struggling with grip on his medium tires. He tried to let Waldo by, so that way he could not. He wanted to let someone by, so that way he could use DRS to get by him on the following straightaway, but it did not work out well. Here we are. Now we see Waddington and Dragon both pitting. So with these two drivers pitting now, this will drop them back to 9th and 10th. Actually, I think it will drop them to 10th and 11th because Dave will get by both of them by the looks of it. But they are now on fresh rubber that should last to the end of this race without too much issue. Also, with that in mind, all 12 cars on track will gather up nice and quickly. And Kinsey Retro, once again, your race leader, with Matrix, Torpedo, Smoothie, Zola, Ozda. Behind, followed by Jigsaw, Flavor, Dave, Waddington, Waldo, and Dragon. Waddington's already almost caught to the back of the grid, so we should be going green, lap 38. So here we are. Yep, the entire field's now all gathered up. So Kinsey Retro will be the driver now, leading the field to the green flag. For Kinsey, he needs to do everything he can to try and get away from Matrix as fast as possible. How will he back up the field? Because once DRS kicks back in, the run through the final corner and down the main straight is so bloody powerful. And if you time it right, the run into the hairpin is powerful enough that it can be impossible to defend. Kinsey knows he took big advantage of that earlier. We're looking at about 29 laps to go when we hit the line, so everyone on mediums knows that they can make it to the end. Smoothie and Ozza will have to pit one more time. And they're out. They're off. Smoothie, Torpedo, side by side, so the Ferrari was caught glacking at the start, and Smoothie goes by on Warren Sauce, and he's around! Right off the bat, and he's into the wall and out of it! And Matrix has gotten by Kinsey Retro at the same time! Now Kinsey gets back by Matrix. Matrix diving in, though, in the hairpin. Zola trying to make something happen. Zola's gotten by Torpedo as well now. Is there damage in the Ferrari camp? I don't see any, but Ozda is now putting pressure on him. Matrix has the lead. Kinsey is fighting back for it. Matrix already opening up a gap on everyone behind him. Kinsey's trying to keep pace, but is struggling. Torpedo trying to do something to Zola himself. 11 drivers left. Only 10 of them can walk out here with points. Down the straight, Zola on Kinsey. Does not commit to it, but Matrix has already opened up a second gap on the Mercedes. Torpedo now looks on the outside of the McLaren. Ozda, look at Ozda! Christ alive! You don't normally see moves made in turn 3 like that, but Ozda does not care what you normally see. He's going for it anyway. Torpedo under braking will try and defend with a dive bomb. You don't normally see drivers trying to defend with a dive bomb, but that's what's happened. Still side by side for position. Ozda has it. Torpedo wants it back. It looks like it goes to Ozda. Jigsaw now has the chance to pressure the Ferrari. And with Smoothie's crash and Jabez Jones' crash, Torpedo is now the only driver in position to try and make up ground on Matrix, but with Matrix leading by over a second and a half already, it looks like that's not going to happen. DRS will be turned on this lap. For the top 2, that won't matter though. This is where it matters. Ozda, Zola, neck and neck for position. Ozda uses simple DRS to make the overtake stick. Zola has to follow, can't do anything else. Can Torpedo do anything to get at least one of these positions back? Ozda does not have DRS on the following straight. Zola does. McLaren closing on Aston Martin, can't get alongside. Alpine, Ferrari fight, but the Ferrari holds position. Oh, and Jigsaw's around. And he drops out of the points paying positions down to 11th now. With that, works out well for Dave Ewart. He now has relatively cleaner air ahead of him on track. And it's great for Torpedo because now he does not have to worry about defense. He can only focus on Zola now. Zola has no DRS, Torpedo does. McLaren, Ferrari, drag race down the straight, but the Ferrari has DRS in his favor that he can use to make the dive into one. Does he commit? He does not want to. Also of note, Ozda in third is closing with speed on Kinsey Retro. The counterpoint to that, though, is that Ozda has soft tires that will burn up before this race is over. Kinsey just needs to be smart, and he'll preserve his to the end of this race. So we will see another Aston Martin versus Mercedes battle. This time with featuring DRS. Jigsaw accident in the back now. And that is a full course safety car. Frustration for Ozda. We're still about 16 laps from the end of this race, but Ozda's going to use this to get onto a different set of top rubber. He's not the only one. Fine Waldo also elects to come in. Ozda's putting on new fresh softs. Question though, can those softs last the remaining 16 laps of this race? Fine Waldo, I imagine they'll be putting softs on for him as well. So now Ozda and Waldo will be the fastest 2 cars on the track. I don't know about until the end of the race, but for at least the next 12 laps. now only 10 cars left. All 10 will bring home points. For Kinsey, though, this is decently good because now the cat is in Matrix's bag for the restart. Under the safety car right now, and we're likely to go green on lap 44, so with about a third of this race left. No other takers right now to come into pit lane by the looks of it. So we'll be going green with about 22 laps to go by the looks of it. Yeah, I don't see the soft tires that Ozzy or Waldo having lasting to the end of this race. I think in their positions, it probably would have been smarter to stay out on what they had, but then again, they're probably also in the position where, you know, they knew that, I don't know, I'm not so sure about Ozzy, but for Waldo at least, he knew that the race wasn't really going to come to him any more than it already was. But Ozzy, on legit pace, was fighting for a podium position, so interesting strategy. Oh, so apparently we're getting word that in the Aston Martin camp, they're saying that the soft tires can do 22 laps. So Ozzy needs them to do 22 laps, and then the 2 laps that have just been completed under the safety car. If you're able to make that work, this could be a windfall strategy. Because he'll be faster than everyone ahead, but everyone ahead does not have to worry about pitting to the end of this race. Matrix, Kinsey, Zola, Torpedo, Waddington in the top 5, followed by Dave Ewart, XRL Flavor, XRL Dragon, XRL Ozzy, and Find Waldo. Safety car coming in this lap. Matrix really aggressively bunching the field up right now. When does Matrix go? They're out of the final braking zone, so he controls when the field goes. Safety car is still out on track, though. And he's away. Not by a massive amount, but he timed it well enough. Kinsey's left glacking, but immediately the Mercedes is trying to close the gap back up. Farther back, though, again, Torpedo has a horrible restart. Waddington is the one fighting with him, and Dave Ewart will follow the fight. Zola, Kinsey for second and third. Zola goes off circuit, and Matrix is around. Your race and points leader spins out of the lead. Zola takes the lead of the race. Kinsey now has to hold off Waddington. And no one, first, second, or fourth, has a good run. Dave Ewart comes out of 6th, and he's now in 4th. Might even steal that from Torpedo. What in the world happened on that restart? And Ozzy now up into 6th, and Waldo up into 7th. What? There's so much stuff that happened there, I can't even follow. Torpedo sandwiched between a Mercedes and another Mercedes right now on the circuit. At the front, it's now Zola with Waddington and the Williams fighting back. Kinsey, though, is faster than both of them. He's used DRS to not even DRS, I'm sorry, but he's used pace to close back in on Waddington. He wants this win badly, and with the fastest 2 drivers all day, now behind him once more, Kinsey might see a win in the cards. Zola has opened up a 1.2 second gap at the front of the grid. No DRS yet, though, obviously. That won't come until the lap after this one. Ozzy now putting pressure on Dave Ewart. Dragon and Flavor fighting for position. Dragon gets back by his rival. Kinsey closing in on Waddington. Does he make the dive bomb into the corner? Yes, he does! Dive bomb into the hairpin. Side by side on exit. Torpedo has the view. Waddington has a better exit. Being on the outside does give you better acceleration, and I'm guessing in that case, Waddington and Kinsey are on equal enough tires that the better acceleration negated Kinsey's advantage mid-corner. Ooh, Kinsey has to back out of it though, because Kinsey is still trying to take alternate lines to maximize tire life. But it's backed up everyone behind. His Torpedo's right there, and Dave's not too far back either. As these all are fighting though, Zola has opened up a 1.4 second gap on second. DRS won't be on the straightaway here, but it will be on the straight going into the hairpin. Torpedo is faster than both of them. Kinsey is faster than Waddington. Side by side for second. DRS has been enabled, so Retro may have to fight back against Waddington using DRS in the hairpin. Matrix, despite the spin, has already just set the fastest lap, but he's the man who has been the fastest all day long, well, maybe outside Kinsey, is now back there in 10th and has to try and make up as many positions as he can in this rush to the end. Waddington right behind Kinsey. He has DRS, but he has to worry more about Torpedo than he really has to do about doing anything behind. Dave with a massive lunge on the Ferrari, but he goes around the outside, can't keep it together. Doesn't lose any serious time though, but Kinsey is now up into second. And he now has 20 laps to try and run down the McLaren ahead. And when it comes to time penalties, Zola has 6 seconds, Kinsey only has 3. Spin, Flavor. So Flavor now falls to 10th. Kinsey already within 8 tenths of a second. He loses a little bit, but Zola does not seem to be super comfortable with that car right now. Waddington is still back there though, fighting with Torpedo. The top 4 all on top of each other pretty much, but the gap between second and third is slowly creaking open. Kinsey barreling down on the McLaren for the lead. Torpedo is right there behind Waddington for third. Does Kinsey make the move? He dives to the inside, side by side into one. Zola defending on the outside. He makes it stick in 1 and 2, but in 3 it goes in Kinsey's favor. Now Zola though will have DRS on the Mercedes going down to the hairpin. How does Kinsey defend? He doesn't. He lets the McLaren pull up alongside. He'll give the McLaren a nice wide berth. And that let the Williams close right back into it. It's a 4-man fight for the win here at Portimao. Find Waldo, Dave Ewart fighting for 6th and 7th right now. Uphill, Dave has the position. Ozza has worked his way up into 5th with fresh soft tires, so he's faster than all 4 of these drivers ahead of him fighting for the race win. Kinsey's around! And the run and the possible win that Kinsey had coming to him is gone in a heartbeat. And now only 4 men are left fighting for the race win. Torpedo behind Waddington. Once again now, Zola has more than a second over second position. Torpedo overtakes Waddington without issue. Here comes Asa, barreling down, blows up alongside the Williams and blows by him in the corner. The Williams tries to do the crossover in the following corner, but clambers the curb and loses that way too much time. Dave Ewart now has a spin off circuit. That lets Kinsey get back up into 8th, and now Matrix is back into 7th. Fine Waldo now has a time penalty as well he has to deal with. Still a 4-man fight for the race win. Torpedo has now closed in to half a second behind the McLaren. This fight will be for the race win. One more braking zone left on this lap. And then when they come across the line, it will be 18 laps to go. Twitched by Zola. Torpedo's right there. Ferrari, McLaren, the DRS will be the decider. Look at this fight back here, though, for 4th and 5th. Waldo wants to put himself in position to capitalize. No change into the lead right now, though. Torpedo wanted to wait until you get to the hairpin corner by the looks of it. Matrix now gets by Dragon. So your points leader is recovering from his spin on the restart. Torpedo right there by the McLaren. Does he dive under braking? No. He holds back for the moment. Right there he is, but can't get alongside him in this point of the track. Matrix with a time penalty, Dave Ewart with a spin. Once again, Torpedo right behind the McLaren. Ozza may be on soft tires, but he has to worry more about defense against Waddington right now than he can worry about actually making an overtake or a charge at the two leaders. So at the front, Torpedo has DRS again on the McLaren. Does he like to pull alongside? Yes, he will pull alongside this time, and then immediately falls in line back behind. It's the same thing we saw at Imola. The Ferraris are faster around the entire corners, around all the corners, but it doesn't matter. The McLaren is so much faster in a straight line, there's nothing a Ferrari can do, even when he has DRS. Matrix now by Waldo. And Waldo powers back with a defensive dive bomb, but Matrix holds the spot. In the Ferrari camp, they need to figure out a way to get by the McLaren and do it in a way to where they can open up a gap before the McLaren can use its superior straight line speed to get back by the Ferrari. Matrix already working on Waddington now. Dave Ewart, another accident in the back of the field. Again, Torpedo behind Zola. What does he do again? He pulls out alongside even earlier on the lap this time by. He noses ahead, and Ferrari now takes the lead. But the McLaren shoots by on the outside with superior grip by the looks of it by just being on the outside. Zola maintains the spot. But now the Ferrari might have a chance to go again at it using DRS and make a dive bomb into the corner. He looks to the inside, but he backs out of it, does not want to risk damaging the front wing. And despite the two leaders fighting, Ozda is not able to capitalize or close on them. It'll be 15 laps to go at the line. Kinsey Retro now gets by Dragon. So despite the spin earlier, Kinsey is absolutely cutting his way back up to the field without issue again. A pair of veterans in the XRL League, Torpedo and Zola, holding just far enough away from the rest of the grid that they can fight between each other in peace. Torpedo trying to recover the lost start of being able to overtake despite having a slower car, art that's pretty much been lost in modern Formula One with the introduction of DRS kind of making it irrelevant. But it's the same kind of art that drivers like Alain Prost and Takuma Sato cut their teeth on. Torpedo's trying to relearn it in a crash course in these last 20 laps against Zola. Matrix, side by side with Waddington, and for that position, Matrix gets it. So Matrix, despite spinning earlier, might still be able to steal this race win. If he did, I can't imagine a bigger upset. Now Matrix is behind his teammate Ozda. Ozda is struggling to catch the leaders. Matrix seems to be faster than him. If Matrix is by Ozda, I think Matrix is gonna blow by the both of them at the front. Another instant for Davey Martin in the back there. Rapido has a great run this time. He's even closer to the McLaren than he has been once this entire time. The problem is he's been able to get alongside the McLaren, but the McLaren just uses the outside lane, carries momentum through turns 1 and 2 to get back ahead. Torpedo now is fully ahead. The McLaren again is just going to run on the wider line to get back by again. There's nothing the Ferrari seems to be able to do. He needs to tap into the same reserves that Takuma Sato was able to do. Matrix has gotten by Ozda in the straight. So now there is nothing stopping Matrix from getting the race win back. I'm dead ass. If Matrix wins this race after spinning on the restart, he's obviously in a car that's too fast for him. Christ alive, look how fast this Aston Martin has closed down the gap. To wonder if maybe Torpedo is trying to get Zola to earn more time penalties by trying to run the McLaren wide, going through turns 1, 2, and 3. That strategy might work normally, but now that Matrix is there, Matrix we know is the fastest guy on track by a large margin, it may not matter. Torpedo's not going deep enough into the corner to force Zola to run wide that time. Now Matrix is there. Dragon elected to come in that prior lap to throw on soft tires, so although he's not going to be closing on the leaders by very much, he is going for fastest lap point. Big twitch by Zola. Torpedo has a run, but again, can't really make anything of it there. The McLaren is not very good in the straights, but the Ferrari is... the McLaren is not good in the corners, but it's amazing in the straightaways. Basically, the Ferrari and Torpedo is getting the experience that all the other teams got while fighting against Scuderia Ferrari in the late 70s. A car that's absolutely dog in the corners, but is amazing on the straights. Ooh, contact for the lead. This time, Torpedo's taking a wider line. The Ferrari, though, not able to do anything. The McLaren is just too godforsakenly fast. And Torpedo is struggling to relearn the art of overtaking a faster car. Matrix is there, but can't seem to make it stick. Torpedo has a twitch, and now Matrix puts pressure on the Ferrari. Another bad twitch from Zola. Ooh, twitch from Matrix that time. He's fallen off just a bit. And immediately closes back in the following corner. Matrix is there. Trying to make the move stick. The Ferrari briefly has to run defensively and then immediately goes back on the offense. But now Matrix is there. He's going to possibly go for a dive bomb. No, he thinks better of it. Dragon Steel's fastest lap back there, 119.953. He's right in the 9th position at the moment. Oh God, Forsaken Zola very nearly spun out. I would have taken out the entire top 3 if that happened. And of note, for everyone on track except for Dragon right now, their tires are fading away. Zola will have a small advantage though because he does not have to worry about being in anyone else's aerodynamic wake. His tires will last a little bit longer than the 2 drivers behind. He's off. Circuit, and Torpedo again backs out. This time Torpedo backed out too much. Race is over for the Ferrari. It's now just a question of how long does it take Matrix to get back by. Same engine in the top 2 cars. McLaren is believed to be faster in a straightaway, but with DRS it doesn't matter. Zola runs the Aston Martin wide though. The Aston Martin doesn't care, he'll fight back on corner entry, and that will be race over. Zola's trying to deny it as long as they can. He makes contact. They're gonna be 3 wide potentially for a position. Not 3 wide quite. But Zola is running the defensive drive of his life. It does not matter though. Matrix is now ahead. The race is now over for all intents and purposes, unless Zola can get one good DRS run on the Aston Martin. Nope, already over. Never mind. Gap's already too big. Fine, Waldo has just been disqualified. What the heck happened there? Zola pulls on Matrix down the straight. There, now Waldo's just been normally DNF'd. Zola pulling on Matrix down the straight there with DRS. He dives to the inside. Dive bomb. He makes it stick. The Ferrari tries to come back. Nothing can be done because the Aston Martin is too damn powerful. The Aston Martin driver-car combination has all the benefits of the Ferrari and all the benefits of the McLaren with none of the downsides. So at this point, now for Torpedo, the only way he's going to win this race will be on penalty countback. The problem is, as this fight's been going on, the top 5 are all still on top of each other, and Waddington would likely overtake everyone. The counter problem to that, though, is that the Aston Martin driver-car combo there is so godforsakenly powerful that there's nothing you can really do. The McLaren is just really, really bad here through sector 2. He's had the same major step out almost every lap in this same set of the circuit, and now there's been contact from it. Damage? No damage from what we can see. But because of that, Matrix is just going to walk out DRS range, walk out time penalties. The race is over. Despite the fact that Matrix spun out of the lead, he just drove on worse tires back into the front in 12 laps time. Ferrari has a heck of a head of steam this time. Side by side for second. The Ferrari needs to force the McLaren to take a bad line through 1, 2, and 3 so he can't come back under braking, and he did it this time. Twitch by the McLaren back there. Oh, and Waddington and Ozda are fighting. Waddington's by Ozda now. Ozda's fighting back, though. Waddington defends. Ozda goes deeper. Side by side. Dive bomb. Waddington cuts back. Oh, Waddington, big twitch there, and Ozda's back ahead now. With that, actually let Kinsey retro close in just a bit, but Kinsey is still 9 seconds out from this fight. Ozda time penalty in 4th, so he'll drop a significant amount of positions on the track then with that in mind. Or at least, maybe not significant, but he will at least fall behind Waddington irregardless then of what happens. This is the most active battle on the track right now between Waddington and Ozda. But it is worth noting that Torpedo and Matrix are fighting for position. Although the gap is beyond DRS range, if Torpedo can stay within 3 seconds of Matrix to race in and does not get any more time penalties, Torpedo will overtake Matrix on penalty countback. That may be the Ferrari driver's only chance to win this race and close up the points battle a bit. Sola now gets another time penalty back there in 3rd. That fully takes him out of the battle for the race lead. Dave Ewart now sets the fastest lap back there. 1:19.190. So looking like it will be a great day in the points for the Mercedes team. Two and a half laps to go. The battle for lead is just a matter of Torpedo staying within 3 seconds of Matrix. Tires are at their worst point right now. For everyone in the top 7. For Dragon and Dave, they're both so far off the back of the grid, it may not matter. Although, with that said, Dragon might be able to try and squeeze by Flavor for on-track position for the race in. But when it comes to time penalties factored in as well, Flavor will still end up ahead of him. Two laps to go. Williams right behind the Aston Martin. Uses DRS to pull right alongside into the braking zone. Tires very worn on the Aston Martin. There's nothing Ozda can do to fight back. Kinsey's now going to pit out of 6. He wants to go for fastest lap point. So with that in mind, that will promote Flavor up into 6th on track. That'll also kind of take away a lot of the good points that the Mercedes team were looking at. I mean, 8th and 9th with potential fastest lap is still decent, but it's wouldn't have been as good as it would have been if it were 5th and 9th. Man, they will not knock it off. This is good. Oz's tires might be dead, but he is committed. Again, they said in the Aston Martin camp that the tires will last 22 laps on softs. This is the 22nd lap. Ozza needs to take it a 23rd. Can he do it? White flag is in the air. This here will be Waddington's last shot at game by Ozda normally, going into the hairpin. But even if he doesn't, Waddington does not have to worry about time penalties. Ozda does. Dragon finally gets by Flavor on circuit, but again, Flavor will get that position back on penalty countback. Waddington dives inside, outside, going around the outside. And the Williams is gonna get him. Ozda's fighting back though. He's not done yet. It doesn't matter though. Waddington says it's over. When it's over, he takes 4th. At the front though, Matrix dominated this race, came from a spin in the last 20 laps to take the lead back in 12 laps to go, but on penalty countback, he will lose the race to XRL Torpedo. Matrix will be scored 2nd. Zola will be a 3rd car across the line, but it will be Waddington who will actually take home 3rd, followed by Zola, then Ozda, then it will be followed by Flavor, who will be scored ahead of Dragon after penalty countback. Then Kinsey Retro is going to try and get fastest lap point, and he will be scored 8th as well. And Dave Ewart will come home 9th. Yep, 118.820. So a great job for him. An incredible race here at Portimao, to say the least. As we are waiting to see if our race winner Torpedo will be willing to join the party or not. All right. Well, before we get too far into anything else, I do want to talk to our second place finisher, XRL Matrix. Matrix, easily you took home the pole. You dominated the race, and on the last restart, you spun out, and you still ended up being the first guy across the line. Walk us through the race from your perspective.
Time penalties again. Same happened with Imola next to last week. Time penalties done me from the race win. Waldo got it. It's just track limits. Track limits are rotten. Some of them, I didn't change anything. What I'd done was the same situation. Happy with P2, especially after I sprint the restart. My right front was too cold, and I hit the curb, and it was spin. It just spun on me, but got a good recovery. Hardest overtake probably Torpedo. Because he's really fast in that car. But I'm happy with P2.
All right. Well, P2, you'll extend your points lead on everyone except for the race winner, obviously. I think with the way this turned out, you're back to being a full race worth of points in the lead.
Yeah.
So, outstanding job there as well. Also, your teammate today, Ozda, came home 5th in the end, so great day in the manufacturer's points as well.
Yeah, good day for Aston, so we'll see how it goes the next race, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. Oh, no. Okay.
Well, it's been great watching you, Matrix. Outstanding job there.
Cheers, man.
Can't wait to see what you're going to do over the remaining next 2 races and next week at Jeddah. All right,
Cheers.
now I want to turn our focus to the race winner, XRL Torpedo. Torpedo, you weren't the first to cross the line, but you had an outstanding fight with not necessarily Matrix, but with Zola for what was for a while the lead, then second, then the lead, then second again. You were in a car that without a doubt was stronger through the corners but weaker on the straights. How in the world did you make that work out? You spent a good 20 laps behind him. How did you get by him in the end? All right, it was outstanding, though, watching you do that. I spent numerous laps watching you. I honestly thought you were going to try and force Zola to run wide to just tack up a bunch of time penalties through 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, that strategy didn't work, but still outstanding what you did there in that Ferrari. All right. Well, outstanding job, Torpedo. Definitely puts you back into the title fight without a doubt. Jeddah's coming up next week. Do you think you can replicate the success here at that circuit? All right. Well, great job again on that win, Torpedo. We'll look forward to how that goes. And now I want to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, Kinsey Retro. Kinsey, make sure your audio is included. You're on decent pace. You were up front. You elected to throw away track position, get on an alternate strategy, and the entire rest of the race for you was absolute madness. You made more overtakes than anyone else all day today. Yes, a late spin takes you out of the race win contention, but what do you have to say about that incredible run you had?
Well, all I'll say is it feels so damn good to be back on the track on a Saturday night. But yeah, just a couple of silly mistakes there cost me any chance I had of aiming for the podium that I was going for. But that being said, though, like I said, it just feels great to be back on track. My teammate, though, he definitely wasn't happy about the fact that I took the fastest lap away from him right at the end. I won't repeat what he said, but he just wasn't happy about it at all.
That is something I do want to ask about, though, because you were looking to come out of there in the 6th or so position. You would have had more points finishing there than you would dropping back to 8th like you did and just getting the fastest lap. So what was the reason for you taking the fastest lap, knowing that you would have ended up with less points overall?
Well, simply put, getting the fastest lap, it would have meant I would have walked away with something of significance for me today.
All right. Well, fair enough. I'll say this. For me personally, I'm not everyone else, but I would say driver of the day, without a doubt. I'm so used, and please don't take this the wrong way, I've seen many times before while watching you, Kinsey, where you have an incident, you have a spin, or an incident, and it totally destroys your race, totally ruins it. You had that happen here, and you put right back onto it, and not only did you get back onto the track, you immediately started picking up positions again, like nothing happened. So, at least for me, driver of the day material, without a doubt, right there.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that. I'll take that as well. It's just with everything I've dealt with my health issues and COVID and everything else, it actually gave me a chance to sort of like recharge my batteries, if you will, and actually somewhat change my mindset as far as how the races go. I mean, with how worn my tires were at the end, I thought, right, there's no point staying on these any longer. So I figured, take my chances, go for the fastest lap, and that worked out pretty well. But the mindset of just if something happens, to just like knuckle down, and it feels like I'm driving in the wet, if you will, because of the mindset that I have, where if it's wet, I'm just like just in my element, and I definitely felt like that tonight when I was just like carving through the field on one of those classic recovery drives.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. It was absolutely outstanding watching you. I almost wish we could have had like a second screen up during the broadcast just to ride on board with you with the runs you're making. You, yes, obviously, you basically, I don't know if other people watched you or what, but most of the moves early on were just happening, normal DRS overtakes on the main straight. You committed relatively early to ignoring main straightaway DRS overtakes and instead making the charge going into the hairpin out of the second DRS zone. And that kind of changed the entire complexion of the race, because when you made that happen time after time after time after time, a few laps later, everyone was doing the same thing. They were ignoring the straightaway moves to try and make moves in the hairpin. So, that's another reason why I'd say driver of the day, because you seem to pick up on the overtaking strategy and then convince everyone else to do the same thing later.
Yeah, a couple of the drivers I did pull that overtake on, they weren't too happy about how ambitious I was with those overtakes, but hey, they worked in my favor, so it was that was one of those cases of monkey see, monkey do, if you will. Yeah, that is a valid point, but and that's why I said a couple of the drivers that I pulled it on, they weren't too happy about it during the race.
All right, well, outstanding job, Kenzie. Fantastic. I also want to go ahead and talk to XRL Ozda. Ozda, very rough time. You were out earlier today testing karts in the wet. First time in a heavier and more powerful kart as well. You talked to me early on. You said you really weren't feeling that confident in the race. You didn't even know if you'd be able to make it to the end just because you were so exhausted. You didn't even make it into the pole qualifying, but in the end, you come home 5th. What do you have to say about your run today?
Basically, with what, so I basically, obviously, I was battling with Kenzie for quite a while, and I saw him like try and make those like kind of ambitious dive bombs, and as Zola said, I don't know if he included his audio into the stream or not, but I was a bit too ambitious later on in the race. And I didn't hit Dave Ewart really hard, but I gave myself wing damage, but it didn't actually show up on the MFD. So that's why when I was on the softs, I couldn't really catch the leaders because I was having a little bit of understeer going through the final corner, which meant it compromised my straight line speed. But you know, I'm quite happy with that result, really. Like I genuinely feel really, really sick right now. Like I'm just aching everywhere. So yeah, you know, to finish is all right, and then to get Aston Martin some good points as well with Matrix up there is a bonus as well.
All right, well, I'll also say this. The hallmark of a good driver is being able to still come home with a great finish despite the body being down with a sickness. Azza, if this is what a race is like for you and you're down with the sickness, I'm just going to say I wouldn't mind having you listen to Disturbed a little bit more.
Yeah, no, Portimao is a great circuit anyway. I remember last season in was it the exhibition races? I had a mega fight
exhibition
with
race. Dude, yes.
So,
dude, and then you had
it
the
was
same
a
thing
Williams
today.
again. Yeah, but he said it was a pointless battle. But I knew that if I were to fight him, it would give a cushion for Matrix. So I wasn't like, you know, keeping behind per se, like intentionally. I was just, you know, I knew he was going to get me on penalty, so I was trying to have a little fun battle anyway. But I don't think he saw it that way. But it's what it is.
He wasn't racing Matrix, mate. He was racing Torpedo. That's the argument here.
Well, I do have to ask, though, as your teammate Matrix was charging up through the grid, did you move over willingly to let him by, or was it just that he was just that much faster?
So this first time he was behind me, I tried to let him through, but like the way me and him entered turn one, I kind of compromised his line a little bit, and then the second time he was behind me, I just completely let him pass. There's no point. I knew that he was so much quicker than me, and obviously with teammates, after his spin, I wanted him to get up as high as possible with the penalty he had. So there was no point fighting him, so I just let him through.
All right, well, an outstanding day both for the team, outstanding day for you as a driver and as a team player, without a doubt. And again, like I said, all sick. I will go out of my way and see if maybe we can get you to listen to 10,000 Fists in the Air next time you're doing a race to have another great drive like this.
Thank you.
All right, one more driver I want to talk to is XRL Zola. Zola, go ahead and include your audio.
Yeah.
So at this point in the season, it seems very plain that the McLaren and the Ferrari are basically rivals because the Ferrari is much, much better around full lap times and through corners, but your McLarens are amazingly fast in a straight line. It seemed like you had that position over Torpedo until the end, and then you lost it in those last few laps. What happened?
I let them through. I let Matrix and Torpedo go and fight. Basically, once Matrix passed me, I left it to Torpedo and Matrix to fight between P1, which made it an interesting fight for the last part of the race. Otherwise, I could have held up Torpedo for quite a long time, because Torpedo wasn't getting past me in the last part of the race. I could have held him off all day long because I had that straight line pace, and he just couldn't get through me on the thing because he didn't have enough ERS. He didn't save enough ERS. He kept using it every lap. So I knew where to defend and how to defend each time. And the only reason Matrix had me is because I was on the curb when we were going side by side in turn 6, I think it was, and I was on the side of the curb and I couldn't get the traction down. Otherwise I would have sold that position, but I let him through the fight in the end. But it's the Aston and the Ferrari, but I think the Ferrari to me is the third fastest car, the third fastest car behind Red Bull and Merc, in my opinion. It's lightning through the technical parts of the track with the Red Bull. I think they're the two best cars in the technical extra parts of the track.
All right, fair enough. Sadly, Zola, due to time penalties, you obviously weren't able to fight for the win, but I won't lie, for a large part of the race.
So.
But, I mean, to be fair, though, like, for a long part of the race, you looked like you were just going to have a midfield day, and you still ended up leading a bunch of laps late in the event, holding off Kenzie Retro, for a little bit holding off Matrix, holding off Torpedo. Like, you had an absolutely fantastic run at the end, to say the least. And then your teammate Raptor also brought home good points for the McLaren boys. Is McLaren really back in the game now? Are you really finally gain your footing down?
Well, it's the fourth race on the row we both finished in points, because we had a what was it? It was 8th and 9th around Russia. Then we had China was 6 and 8, and then we had Imola, which was 4 and 5, and today it was 4 and 7. So I think the McLarens are going to be climbing the standings. Where will the standings be now? Let me have a look. Constructors. So we should be jumping back up to, I think it's 3rd or 4th, I think. Oh, where's the short one? There it is. I can look at that because I've got it now. I run it. Right, so we should be jumping probably above Williams the 4th. Now.
All right, so one
6th.
last question. One last question. Obviously, the McLaren's great straightaway speed. Next circuit coming up is Jeddah. Do you think that your team may be significantly favored there above anyone else?
That track is anyone's track. It's literally like Monaco and Baku had a baby. And there you go. That's what you get. It's literally so fast. It's literally like Baku, as in the pace-wise, but it's like Monaco because there's more walls. There's literally... all the straights are like curvy straights as well. It's not like if they're an easy straight, and it's a wheel track all day long. So anyone on a wheel is probably going to blitz anybody on a pad that track. So it's a massive wheel track. So I would expect the wheel user to win that race. So look at someone probably like a Jeebus John. I mean, Matrix might be up there as well because he's quite good as well with that sort of circuit. So I don't see anybody on a pad being there unless people die and hit walls, which is possible. There's lots of walls to hit, so...
All right. Well, Zola, I want to say thanks very much for being willing to jump in, share your experience in the race. It was a great run, mate. It was fantastic watching you defend pretty much all day long there.
I'm probably one of the best defenders in the league, so... because I can defend for quite a long time, just ask Asda.
True. Yeah, this does seem to be true. All right. Well, with all that in mind, that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here at Portimao. In a week's time, the Realistic League will be going to Jeddah before going back to the more normal, more traditional Formula One circuits. Tomorrow at the main channel, 5 p.m. UK time, Kinsey Retro will be covering the X1 race here. And he'll be joined by XRL Zola to cover that. Forgot about that. Good point. I will be covering the X3 race, where there's a 3-car fight for a championship going on there. I think there's like a 2 or 3-car title fight in X1 as well
yeah,
right now.
3.
Yeah. And then also tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time on the main channel will be the X2 race. That one I believe is still going to be covered by XRL Jigsaw. There is a 2-car battle going on for a title fight there, although one of the contenders might not be showing up. No guarantee there.
Yeah, he's not. Waldo's not racing that race because I got to host it. So yeah, so it is just Matrix.
Oof. But anyways, that's what the schedule looks like for the rest of this weekend here. And then, like I said, next week it will be at Jeddah for all of the main XRL series. Until next time, though, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. I want to thank you all for watching so much, and goodbye. Thank God!